quick little thing before I get this intro started. If you walk into that barrier right there without getting all 6 gems in the palaces, it's an instant kill. Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Zelda 2 Adventure of Link. In the last part we got finished the 6th dungeon and made our way here to the final dungeon, the Great Palace. 2 things I want to mention before getting more into this place. Well, first off, new enemy, Foe Tails. Their fire follows you, so watch out for that, and their jumps are surprisingly hard to dodge. 2 things. 1, this is the only dungeon that has exclusive music, and I absolutely adore this track. It's my favorite song in the game, easily. And 2, you remember how throughout the rest of the game, if you got a game over somewhere, you were sent back to the starting screen? Not here. If you get a game over here in the Great Palace, you're sent back to the starting screen of the palace itself. Why they couldn't do that for all the other dungeons, I don't know. And also, fun little fact, I mentioned it back in part 1, but the reason that the enemies are fighting us is because they want our blood to revive Ganon. That's only for the first 6 dungeons. The Great Palace here is actually a test of Link's courage, made by Hyrule itself, essentially. Because, remember that number 3 Triforce? Yeah, it's in here. The number 3 Triforce they mentioned in the intro text back in part 1. And guess which Triforce that is? It's totally the Triforce of Courage. Now, for some reason, they called it a Triforce in Zelda 1, but there were only 2, and so they had to make the 3rd one for here. Mind you, if the name Triforce, I would hope there were 3. But then again, it could be because it's a triangle, so, oh well. And I hope you're in for by the way, I should mention, if you're not using an infinite lives code, you're probably in for a hard time, because, I gotta admit, this is easily the hardest part of the game. Not as hard, well, mind you, that includes the trip over to here, because this is a long trip. And another new enemy! Fokas! I gotta say, I Foka-ing hate these guys. Their jumps are surprisingly hard to dodge, and they throw a lot, especially the blue variation we'll be seeing later on. And there are no dungeon items or keys in this place, so I'm just taking you right to the final area. Or final boss. There are hidden passageways in these elevator sequences, like the one I'm showing off right here. More often than not, they'll either have a red potion in the statue. I was actually thinking, I thought there was one here, but that's the one above us. And we also get the next new enemy, King Bubbles. They are bubbles that split into, they're giant bubbles that split into 3 or 4 normal bubbles after you hit them enough. One thing I should mention, if you look on maps on, like, Game Facts or something for this place, you find out this place is absolutely huge. If I recall correctly, it's also the stage that was in Melee. I don't know why, but it was. Oh, Melee. Actually, Smash 4 comes out, next week for me. Well, actually, not even next week, 5 days. And speaking of which, Hyrule Warriors just came out, and I'm already 13 hours in, 2 days later. Really fun, I recommend it if you have a Wii U. Supposedly it's like 300 hours total or something with all the gameplay, and that's really worth that $60. Music's fantastic, especially. By the way, this is easily my least favorite room in the place because this blue Foka here constantly gets in my way. So I decided to kind of tease him a bit. What I just used there was the Thunder Spell. As you can see, it took out half my magic bar, but it does a crap load of damage, hence why it kills him off there. I'm not sure the exact damage values it does. All I know is that it does enough to kill most enemies in one shot. Don't worry, I'm gonna actually need that to fight something later on, but I'll have enough magic by then, because I will die. In fact, I can guarantee you this, you will die in this place, at least once or twice. Also, for some reason, they used a curtain sprite up there that all the boss rooms have randomly throughout this dungeon, and I don't know why. If you come across any blue Fokas, I recommend using the shield spell just so they don't, like, take 1 bar of your health per hit. And, try to run away from them as fast as possible. It actually kind of reminds me of that one webcomic from, Ocarina of Time. Show your courage by running away from all your enemies. Oh, Ocarina of Time, you are weird, but we all love you. Though I find you severely overrated and I find Majora's Mask much better. Don't get me wrong, though, they're both fantastic games. But I'm not going to get into the 3D games here because I'm not going to be playing those for a long time. This is a bit of an interesting floor. To the right here, there's a fairy you can get, if you can downward stab just perfectly. And to the left, there's a bit of a passageway that leads you to a Link doll if you want it. I don't. This is a bit of a tricky floor, by the way. Would you believe that under a couple of these blocks that there is a hidden passageway you can fall into? It's underneath the 5th and 6th blocks, but for some reason I can never remember if that's the 5th or 6th blocks from the left or the right. It's from the left, though, I can tell you that much. By the way, upward stab now. That's a king bot. Pretty much just upward stab into it, and it will turn into normal bots, and is very easy. And it's the only appearance of it in the entire series until, I want to say, Link's Awakening? Or maybe one of the Game Boy Color games. There's a red potion to the left if you need it, although there's also a Bird Knight. In fact, the Bird Knight's Focus. The Focus can also hide in blocks, by the way. Anyway, on this screen, use shield, use jump, and get Thunder ready, because it's time for what is technically the final boss. This is Thunderbird. Using Thunder will unveil its face, which is how you hit it. This is why you need the spell. You can only hit him, I don't know where the exact hitbox on Thunderbird is. It's either that little jewel on its forehead, if it has a forehead, or its face itself. And as you can see, he does a lot of damage. In fact, I honestly thought I'd have to edit this little take of the boss fight out, just to have to fight him again, but, I somehow pulled a miracle out. First try. No, I just missed a perfect opportunity for a Lego movie reference. Oh, well. So with that, we're done the game, right? Almost. Just have to walk a bit to the right. Hey, it's the Triforce with a random midget guy that looks like the old man from Zelda 1. What the hell? Final boss of the game is Dark Link. And what I'm showing you right now is how you're intended to fight him. Just randomly strike and hope to God you hit him. And I gotta admit, I have never beaten him this way. I've seen people have done it after much trying, after many attempts of trying, but I'm not that good. Dark Link is actually a bit of a really tough boss. I'm not sure what his exact AI patterns are, but also he's pretty much the only way I usually die during the dungeon itself if I'm not dying to Thunderbird, because admittedly it's the bosses of this dungeon that suck. But anyway, now I'm going to show you how you should fight him. And it's probably one of the funniest things I've actually seen in a while. What do? Walk left, face right, duck, and stab. And you're pretty much guaranteed to win. I'm not sure why this is so effective, but it is. Maybe it's some weird little thing with this programming that he can't go too far past a certain distance to your left or right. But either way, that's it. That's Zelda 2. We just beat the game. And with that, we've proved our courage, and now they're giving us the Triforce. Even though we already cleared 6 dungeons of Ganon's minions, I'm not sure why they wouldn't just give us the Triforce after that, but oh well. Oh, that's right, Zelda was underneath the sleeping spell. I actually forgot about that. And from what I hear, this is actually a different Zelda than it was in the first game, but I'm not sure if that's true. I've only heard this. And for some reason, her speech is a fairy sound effect. But we saved Hyrule, and we are a real hero. It's not like I saved the world in the first game or anything. I actually really like the way that's animated. Hey, look! A relationship before Skyward Sword! But, yeah, that was Zelda 2, and I gotta say, I actually really do like this game. There are a lot of people who don't like it, and I can see why. It is very different from Zelda 1, however, it's a lot more enjoyable. Why? Well, first off, the control is nowhere near as horrid. It controls beautifully, actually. The dungeon design, in fact, the overall world design, isn't as cryptic. In fact, I think you can play this game fairly well enough without a guide. You'll probably need one every now and then, but it's still rather better than the first one. Musically, it's probably one of my only hits against the game, is that Zelda 1 had a lot of more memorable themes. I can only remember the Great Palace theme, the Palace theme, and the Overworld theme, ever. Not to say the soundtrack's not bad, I'll hum along with it when playing, but other than that, it's eh. But I think it's an overall really good game. If this game were to get like a 3DS remake on like the eShop or something, I would not mind at all. But my only things would be, 1, put checkpoints in more places, please, for game overs. 2, obviously make things a bit more easy to understand, like where to go and such. And 3, make it easier overall. And that's the first appearance of the Triforce, too. Now we have all of them, and that's going to be in every one of the games after this. Well, almost. Next up in the Zelda series, I'm either going to do A Link to the Past, or maybe Link's Awakening, but I'm not sure which one I want to do first. In fact, I might just leave that to you guys. But next up in Let's Plays in general is Dragon Warrior 2, actually. I've actually been recording it up alongside this, and that should be up fairly soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys then. By the way, I should mention, you get a second quest for once you beat the game when you press start to replay, but I'm not sure what the differences are in this one as opposed to the first one. But, yeah, I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be, even though I just said what it was. Awkward outro!